Hello,
Hello,
mate.
Russell Howard.
I've hacked into the system.
Fancy you doing the first link on the show and getting it right. From thousands of miles away, you get the link right, and yet when we have you in the studio, wrong. What are the odds?
Horrible. I just got told what the song was because I couldn't hear it by our producer Adam, who I understand is his birthday. And the terrible thing about my brain, I could hear it going, bandages, hot, hot heat, don't muck it up, bandages, hot, hot heat. And then suddenly it came out as hot, hot heat, so I struggled a bit.
You did very well, but then you tried to supplant that with extra information, which proved to be wrong. It's not Adam's birthday. It was Mark Olver who's in the studio. It was his birthday this week.
Oh, yeah. Beautiful link. We've opened it up to everyone.
It was the man you've known for years whose birthday you forgot, not the man you've known for weeks.
All right, lovely. How are you, Mark?
Should we say hello to some listeners?
Yeah, hello, listeners. How are you? Hope you're very well. This is a very surreal experience. I was sat in my hotel room in my pants addressing our audience.
Yeah.
Or your audience, I should say.
Yeah, my audience. Our audience, mate. Our audience.
Yeah.
So how's things?
How are you? Yeah, really good, actually. It's brilliant out here. It's properly lovely. Very
yeah,
hot.
it's not as good as it is here.
No, that's...
You probably read in the Aussie Herald it was 200 degrees here yesterday.
Really?
I've seen people wearing flip-flops in Cardiff this week. That's how hot it's been.
Nice. You're travelling as well, then?
Oh, I'm getting about, mate. Getting about.
Nice. What have you seen this week?
People in flip-flops in Cardiff and the inside of my house in Swindon. And yesterday I went to a play by Harold Pinter on account of my class and that.
Oh, you didn't understand it, did you?
I did understand it because it was just Cockneys whining. I didn't understand it on an artistic level, but I understood the language. So you've done enough of this, English banter. You've done exciting things, haven't you?
Well, nearly. I set out to try and find some penguins in a place called St Kilda.
With friends or just on your own?
Just on my own, John.
I'm going to find penguins. Leave me now.
Oh, mate, listen to this, right? There's a late-night gig over here in Melbourne called the Hi-Fi Club, and I was comparing it yesterday. And I sort of said, what's fun to do here? And I got them to pass around a piece of paper and write down suggestions. And they properly got me because one of them said, go and visit the Evil Monkey Museum. So, as you can imagine, I've properly lost it. I got very excited. I'm asking for directions. After about a minute, it sort of dawned on me that there wasn't an Evil Monkey Museum. And the laugh that I got as they were just laughing at my stupid face.
Is there an ordinary monkey museum?
There's no monkey museum.
Oh.
I vowed to the people of Melbourne to steal and train a monkey that's so evil, so racist, so naughty that they'll have to make a museum to house it.
Right.
As yet, John, I'm failing on that in that I haven't got a monkey.
Right, but apart from
One
that,
day.
have you got
Yeah,
your
but
How to Train a Monkey to Be Evil book?
No, I was just going to throw stuff at it until it got really cross.
All right then, fair enough.
And then just set it upon someone. But I didn't find any penguins in St Kilda. What I did find was a massive array of prostitutes.
Right.
Can't really take photos.
Morgan Freeman commentating on them?
Nothing. He wasn't even close. But yeah, so I think I went to the wrong place. I'm pretty sure.
But you had a great time.
I had a smashing time. No, it's been lovely. What the funniest thing, right? We did a gala out here. It's the first gig I did in Australia. It's in front of 2,000 people, and I was genuinely cacking. It was terrifying. But it was a lovely gig. It went really well. And then at the end, because it's sponsored by Oxfam, they kind of get everyone back out to do like a sing-along. Sort of in the background, there are streamers going off and stuff like that.
They're playing into your hands.
Yeah, well...
Do they not know you're a Six Music DJ?
Well, this is the beautiful thing. We'd set ourselves to mischief, because I was out there with We Are Clang, right? And they did the sketch where Steve Hall comes on, where he's tucked his willy between his legs, and he comes on as Debbie McGee, as a lady, right? But he did that for their main sketch.
Bit hack.
And it is a bit hack. It's been done to death. And I convinced Steve to come back out for the sort of the Oxfam We Are the World moment, naked again, but with his willy tucked between his legs, and then proceeded to tickle him until his willy fell out on national TV, and 8 million people have seen that.
Right.
We found it very funny, but we got told off by the people at Oxfam.
Oh, God. When will they get a sense of humour? Trying to save the world, fair enough, but you do want to see some flaccid willies every now and again, don't you?
Absolutely. I'm just trying to give what the people want.
Chill out, the people of Oxfam. And how cross with a red cross.
Lovely link. Wonderful.
So you're doing a gig. Yeah, thanks very much. It's going all right, this radio show,
Yeah,
but this is week 2 out of 9. So, let's not get arrogant.
I had a load of emails, actually, from people who said, don't ever come back.
Oh, really? I think that was my family. I apologised for that.
Yeah.
So you're off to do a gig tonight?
I am, yes.
And then you're going to talk to us again after the gig, aren't you?
Absolutely, yeah.
Assuming it goes well.
Well, yeah, no, exactly. Otherwise you just hear me just screaming.
How are you this week, Mark?
I'm not too bad. Was my cough audible to the nation?
I flicked your mic up, I'll be honest, with 2 seconds to go, getting a little bit confident. Thought, well, he's not going to say a swear or anything. But little did I know you had phlegm.
Oh, I see. Sorry.
So I'm joined in the studio by Mr. Mark Oliver. I'm also joined, as last week, by the Rustbot 3000. Now that the real Russell Howard has left us, we have the Rustbot 3000 with us for the whole show, and we'll be chatting to him. We've had new software loaded on the Rustbot 3000 this week.
I've missed the Rustbot 3000.
Yeah, well, I've been taking it to gigs with me and stuff, to be honest.
That's why, because I've been at home lonely.
Well, you can have it this week.
Is that
You've
right,
got to
can
look
I?
after it, though. You've got to feed it mud every day and grease the joints. But we had new software fitted, so it does impressions this week, so I'm very excited. So if you press the impression button...
Hello, I'm Tony Blair.
Unstoppable. The Rustbot 3000, what can't it do?
How many has he got?
2. unless we record more. But thanks for ruining the magic, Mark Oliver. So, what have you been up to this week, Mark?
I have, apart from missing the Rustbot 3000, working, going to gigs.
Are you trying to sound deliberately Bristolian off the top of the show?
It was my birthday on Tuesday.
Was your birthday on Tuesday?
Thanks for remembering.
Well, what happened is you called me AM. So I knew it was your birthday. I had it written in my diary.
Did you know?
Yeah, I had it written in my diary. And you called me at AM and pretended I'd forgotten. And I was distracted because I was watching the Poseidon Adventure.
Oh, yeah,
and I was crying.
Getting upset.
Yeah, the old woman, she didn't make it. But she helped them get through. The Poseidon Adventure. It's horrible. Steve Guttenberg's in it. Now, you think you're safe with Steve Guttenberg because he's marked his card with the Police Academy films.
And
he is
Cocoon.
a comic actor. And there is no messing about with Steve Guttenberg.
But
And then
Cocoon's not sort of laugh right, is
I
it?
really
That's
remember him in Cocoon, to be
you?
honest. I watched it when I was very young.
Good film, Cocoon.
Yeah, I remember it being good.
But
And
you
what's the
thought
one where
when-
they're in, like, little dishwasher, the flying alien things? Batteries not included.
Oh, yeah.
It's a cracking film about old people, too. But yeah, he plays this sort of flawed character. I was in tears. And it was only like 10:30 in the morning. It's too early. I mean, any time in the day is too early to be crying over Steve Guttenberg. But then you rang me and had a go at me for not remembering your birthday. And I hadn't forgotten it. I just hadn't remembered it yet.
But we had a conversation that lasted for a couple of minutes, and you said, "So what are you doing today?" And I went, "Oh, just general things for my birthday."
You said it really narkily as well. Oh, I'm just, doing stuff for my birthday. I don't
actually
need that
sound like
first
that?
thing. Yeah.
Do I?
Yeah.
God,
I've had emails in saying that that's what you sound like.
That is absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
So it was my birthday on Tuesday. Wednesday,
I got you a present and stuff, though, didn't I? 2 years ago, I got you an amazing present.
2 years ago, you got me an absolutely incredible. Was it 2 years ago?
His Dark Materials we went to see at the National Theatre on me. And I bought the tickets on eBay, and how did you help out? By bumping up the price just before I went to pay for them. I thought I'd be helping, so I put the price up so no one else would want to buy them. Okay, great. So now I've got to outbid you so that it's in my name, and now it's just cost me an extra 50 quid.
It wasn't an extra 50 quid, was it? It was like an extra
It was
5.
200 quid, I think. I remortgaged my house.
You shouldn't be telling me all this. It was a present.
Right, so you've been working and...
And then Wednesday I went to a gig.
Right.
Went to see
Oh, the Bare Naked Ladies.
The Bare Naked Ladies in Bristol.
How was that?
It was good. I was a bit freaked out because standing right behind me, just on a little balcony, there was a mum, dad, and their no more than 5-year-old kid.
Right.
Going to see the Bare Naked Ladies. And I just thought that's not fair. Not fair that his first gig is something quite good like the Bare Naked Ladies.
Yeah, but he won't remember that, though, will he?
Oh, I don't know. I think he will. He seemed like he had a really good time. He got a bit cranky later.
Right.
A bit tired.
Oh, you
like
see?
you do.
Yeah, well, I get a bit grumpy towards it. They go on very late these days. Some of us have work in the morning. Well, I don't think you'd remember a gig. Text us in your first ever gigs, and if anyone remembers the gigs I went to then of 5, I'll be very surprised. But the text number is 64046, and you can email russell.6music@bbc.co.uk. Text us in your first gigs on this bank holiday.
What was your
Sunday
first
morning.
gig? You must have gone to your first gig when you were really young. How old?
Very, very old. I didn't really... There's nothing live in Lancaster. Well, there wasn't, to my knowledge. So it wasn't until I moved to Bristol and met you lot. I went to see Coldplay. That was my first ever gig.
I went to see
Quite a big do.
the Priest's Holy Road show with my mum and dad when I was about 8,
Rock and roll.
which was a group of Catholic priests who sang songs and told jokes.
I imagine they got pretty mental.
And then I went to see one of the Spinners, the folk group's farewell tours when I was about 10. Those were my first gigs.
Right.
So, yeah, and
You were a right loser when you were a kid, weren't you?
Yeah, I was. That's what's continuing. You're bullying me again, by the way. I listened again.
Oh, that's the other thing you told me on the... We'll discuss this. We're going to play a track in a minute, but I want to wrap up. Text us in your first ever gig, 64046, russell.6music@bbc.co.uk. But with last week we were talking about people falling over. I'm not going to lie to you, crying at Steve Guttenberg, I needed help. I listened again to the show and I was still laughing. And this one came in too late to use, but I had to read it this week. So funny. It's from Simon. It says, not a fall but. Last summer, I was in a car park in my car. It has a convertible metal roof operated by a button. I was holding the button down to put the roof up when I was asked for directions by someone from behind me. I continued holding the button down as I leaned out of the window to help the man. The roof went up, as did the windows, completely trapping my head in the mechanism. Not knowing what was going on, I continued to hold the button down, and the bruise on my cheek lasted for a fortnight. And then he says what was really weird was that the guy behind me carried on talking to me as if nothing was happening, which I suppose is what you would do. So we're getting people texting in their first ever gigs. Now, my issue with this, we were discussing this off air with Adam, our producer, whose first gig was Depeche Mode. Yeah. Pretty cool. But we were saying that if you get taken to a gig too young, that's not really your choice, is it? That's your parents'. Like, you get that from watching Junior Mastermind. It's frightening, because they have to pick a specialist subject, and you know that's what their parents have picked for them. There's a 9-year-old girl on the other week whose specialist subject was Emmeline Pankhurst. No 9-year-old girls into Emmeline Pankhurst. So first gigs. My first gig was the Pixies at Crystal Palace Bowl. They were awesome, as were Ride, who were one of the support acts. A fine introduced to music, is it not? But you're probably right. My uncle took me to see AC/DC at St George's Hall in Bradford in 1979 when I was 5. So I've seen Bon Scott live, but I have no memory of it. Damien in Leeds, exactly the point.
I've got one from Thea. When I was about 8, my mother made me go and see Chaz and Dave with her. It was horrible. Everyone else was 80. I'm still scared of large groups of old people.
I think a lot of people are, to be honest. Chaz and... You see, that's the kind of gig you should take a child to, though, isn't it, Chaz and Dave? At least then, you know, they're not missing out on anything. They're not seeing... No offence to Chaz and Dave if they're listening and all that, but they're not missing out on legends, and nor are they missing any, you know, deep meaning to the songs. You know that song's actually about heroin addiction. It's not, it's about eating whelks.
But Mike from Bexley Heath, his mum and dad took him to Genesis at Wembley with support by the brand new Heavies when he was 10.
Ah, you see Genesis. What do you think of Genesis? Am I allowed to say I quite like Genesis? Sudio and all
Martha's dad is a big Genesis fan.
Right.
And he's a vicar.
Yeah. All right, then. Well, probably should be ashamed to say, I'm Who's that?
With Peter Gabriel, fine.
With Peter Gabriel, fine.
Yeah,
All right, then.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I don't like the...
Old school Genesis.
Yeah, the stuff without Gabriel. God, it's hardly worth it, is it? Why would you even bother? God, yeah. God, music. My little girl's first gig was Morrissey. That's quite nice. And then she says she was still in my belly. But they do hear stuff. Mine, On the Other Game. I've never heard that before, On the Other Game.
No.
I assume that's a derivation of On the Other Hand. I bet your
Maybe
kid
she
talks
texted
weird.
it in, because that's predictive text, isn't it?
Hand and game. Oh, you see? This gets us into grammar, because that is poor. If you're texting in a national radio show, you don't even check game and hand.
What's her name? What's her name?
Oh, honestly, it doesn't say. And she's ended the text with "say no more." Well, I will. I'm not going to read the rest of your text message if you can't be bothered checking it. She probably meant pay no more and didn't even bother to check. Well, we're getting lots of first gig texts in.
We've also got someone apologising.
Good.
Louise from South Shields, who wrote in earlier and said that her baby's first gig was Morrissey when it was in her belly.
Oh, yeah.
She was the one who said...
On the Other Game.
On the Other Game. Sorry, I did mean On the Other Hand, was holding my small screaming Chile in the other hand.
She's holding the nation of Chile in her hand.
She may possibly...
I think she meant child.
Yeah.
I think she meant child.
I'm not sure she's fit to be a mother.
No, I'm not as well. I think she did mean on the first one. I think she meant On the Other Game as well. And she was talking about career choices she's made in the first.
Can you apologise to Louise?
I will apologise. And we changed the Chile thing. She texted in child. And Louise, we appreciate your apology. And on air, it's fine to make mistakes with text messages, unless they're important text messages, such as ones you might send to a national radio station. Anyway, lots of first gig texting. Someone, Rich the chef, texted in to say the first gig was The Damned, an anti-Nowhere League.
Do you know him?
I don't know him. I did used to know all the chefs, but I've lost touch since I stopped chefing. I don't know if he meant it was The Damned with Anti-Nowhere League, or he went to see The Damned with his Anti-Nowhere League, but that would be an odd name for an anti. So I assume he means there were two bands. This is a cracker, this. Jill in Bradford. Hello, my first gig was Bucks Fizz. Already there, we're worried on her behalf, but she justifies it herself by saying it was a present from my mum. I wept in my bedroom because I knew I would have to go so as not to hurt her feelings. Needless to say, it was expletive deleted.
I've got one from Steve. Steve's a man after my own heart, because my first ever gig on my own volition was Hootie and the Blowfish.
Good word, volition, well done.
Was Hootie and the Blowfish, and Steve's was Hootie and the Blowfish at the Kentish Town Forum. I remember I had a meat pasty as well.
Food shapes your life. You see, I remember food I've had places far more readily than I have. You know, that was obviously a very good meat pasty, or a very bad one. Do you like a pasty? You look like a man who likes a pasty.
What you mean is
man.
I look like a pasty. You see, this is what I mean about last week. Listen again to last week's show.
I can't, mate. I tried. It lasted about half an hour. I can't listen to my own
Every 5 minutes, there is an insult about me looking or eating some sort of food stuff.
But anyone who's seen Mark Oliver do stand-up will know that's pretty much your act. If anything, I'm writing your Edinburgh show for you. All these insults will be rehashed in your Edinburgh show. And then there's a corned beef hash one there. You can do that as well.
How are you spelling pasty?
Pasty.
Oh, good.
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 This has got 10. My first gig was the Foo Fighters at Wembley in 2001, and that's from age 16. I'm guessing from that, using my skills of maths, that you are now 21. Unless the gig was after today's date, in which case you're 20. Hello. I got taken to see Shawaddy Waddy for my 8th birthday. My second, inverted commas, gig was Kids from Fame Live when I was 10.
Oh, wow.
And she goes on to say, I'm not sure my taste in music has improved, Emma in Birmingham. Sounds like my sort of woman. See, when you get taken to gigs... My mum took me as a birthday present once. She took me to see the Star Wars film, you know, when they go and get all the whales. And I fell asleep, and she was really upset.
You mean Star Trek?
Star Trek, yeah, sorry. Star Wars was quite good, wasn't it? Star Trek.
The whales, that
Not
was...
so much.
That was Star Trek 4, I think.
Was it?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're really battling back against this geek image I've created for you. My first gig was Martha Reeves and the Vandellas at Sunderland Empire, 1987.
Oh, wow.
That one went down in the annals of rock history.
I also went to see the Four Top supported by Edwin Starr when I was about 16. So actually, it was before Hootin' the Blowfish. So me and Steve and the Meat Pasty, we got nothing in common anymore. It was the Four Tops and Edwin Starr. Great gig.
Right.
He had a lovely red sequin suit on. Oh, I'd love a red sequin suit.
What's the most flamboyant outfit you've ever worn? Well, Russell Howard isn't on it. I can tell you that he went to his 18th birthday party in a velvet purple suit. Russell Howard there. I've never worn anything particularly. I used to have, like, when I was a kid, I used to have a 5-4-3-2-1 jumper that I wore everywhere.
I've got a slightly interesting taste in shoes.
Oh, yeah, we were in Barcelona once and you tried to buy a woman's pair of shoes, didn't you? And the man in the shop wouldn't let you do it. Even he had more respect for you than you did.
He actually laughed in my face.
I have to tell you, man, this is a woman's shoe. I just like the colours on them. This is a woman's shoe. Can I at least try? And you forced him to let you... You had to try them on.
He really didn't want me to.
Yeah, and surprise, surprise, what did you say? They're a bit too narrow at the bottom end. I tell you, this is a woman's shoe.
Was that Josie Long was with us as well?
Yes.
And she's not the most sartoriously graced woman in the world, is she? And even she was laughing at me.
Yeah.
Oh, dear.
Yeah, you own a lot of ridiculous shoes. You have a horrible pair of shoes that look like those sort of, they're horrible. Like,
The wicker ones?
Wicker shoes.
I love those shoes.
They look, you've got some sort of fungal infection and your feet have turned into porridge.
I like my green felt ones that look like the top of a snooker table.
Yeah. What shoes are you wearing today? Flip
I'm
them
wearing green
just an ordinary pair of pumps.
Yes.
What do you call pumps?
Daps.
Adam from the north, what do you call pumps?
Trainers.
Adam?
Trainers.
Wow.
Oh, dear.
Daps. I hate the word daps. Such a horrible word. My mum took me to see Arrested Development when I was 7. Afterwards, I decided I wanted to be black. The trouble was I was a chubby ginger child. Life's just not fair, is it? My first gig was a couple of months after my 15th birthday when I went to see my friend's band play. Does that count? Going to see your friends? I mean, we've all messed about with instruments. I don't think that really counts. Charlatans, Brighton, 1995. Awesome. That's all that text says. Mike in Birmingham. Can I count Cannon and Ball as a gig?
I'm not. No, we can't have that one.
I don't think we can count Cannon and Ball as members of society.
Yeah, well said, John. Because there was a programme on Channel 4. Have you heard about this?
No.
A couple of months ago, there was a programme on Channel 4, and Cannon and Ball were berating the state of the British comedy industry and walked past the theatre and went, you see, the thing is, no one knows who comics are anymore. No one knows who they are. Look, who's that? No one knows who that is. Who's that? No one knows who that is. And look at him. Who is he? No one knows who he is, as they pointed to a picture of me.
Yeah, to be fair, though, they had a point.
No one knows who I am.
We're getting first gig texts. We're carrying on with these. Hi, John and Mark. My first gig was Idlewild at the Anson Rooms in Bristol. Having never been to a gig, I decided to watch it from the front and had to wring my T-shirt out at the end of the gig, which was very unpleasant. I assume he means sweat.
I've got someone called DT from your crib. From Swindon.
Oh, Swin.
From Swindon.
Swinwise.
His first gig, 1972, Hawkwind and the Pink Fairies in Swindon. Heard of Hawkwind, have no idea who the Pink Fairies are, but they're anything like Hawkwind. They're a bit rock, which is an amazing name for a big rock band. Are they very rock? Yeah. Adam's going, they're very rock.
And if they're anything like fairy cakes, then you definitely like them.
Oh, I love a fairy cake.
Imagine you do. Atomic Kitten came to my school when I was 11. Just about better than double maths. I assume that's sarcasm. Oh, I was at Cardiff Glee Club this Friday. One of the happiest gigs of my life. You know when you realise an audience is just as geeky as you are? I had an audience of 200 people trying to recite pi to as many decimal places as possible. Very rarely do you get in touch with an audience to that level. And I had to say to him, I said, listen, you're going to go away from this gig, you're going to pretend it was me that started that, but they started it. Unbelievable.
Are you working on stuff for your Edinburgh show?
Yeah.
Because you're doing loads of stuff about food. I wonder whether that was part of it.
Yeah, my Edinburgh show is going to be called No Life and Pie.
It's just going to be called Pie.
I liked maths, but I had a maths teacher who really ruined Mr. Furlong Brown, if you're listening. He really shouted. He's the only teacher that's ever made me actually wee myself. We were all out playing with snowballs in the snow, and I had
How old
one.
were you? How old were you?
Like 12, 11.
Okay.
I had one, right, but swear to God it was a deterrent. I had no interest in throwing a snowball at anyone, but, you know, where I grew up, it was pretty rough, and if you didn't... Lancaster Royal Grammar School could really kick off. And if you didn't have a snowball in your hand, you would get snowballed. So I had it as a deterrent. Little did I know, Matt Daunt got one thrown at him. I had a stone that went in his eye. So we had to stop throwing snowballs, but I didn't know. And he saw me holding it and assumed I was one of the instigators. Shouted at me and said, "You're in big trouble." And a bit of wee came out. Mr. Furlong Brown ruined maths for me.
And if it was cold, that would have frozen straight away, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I know.
That's going to be awkward.
But it's actually quite pleasant, the warmth, you know.
Yeah, it's going to help.
To be honest, it was deliberate.
I've got another first gig. Grumpy Steve in Bury St Edmunds. First gig was the Stiff Little Fingers at Ipswich Gaumont in 1981. Bit of class.
That sounds nice.
Yeah, that does, doesn't it?
And you say class very well, by the way.
Class.
My first gig was Mod, then Susie Quattro. Clive, this is in Swansea, he said, loved my glam rock. Cost me 50p to see Mod.
Blimey.
That's cheap, isn't it?
See, they're all quite cool, aren't they? They're all. I think people...
Yeah.
Because I think that's what I do. Like, if I had a kid, I'd take him to something really cool. Say, later on, he's got, oh, yeah, I want to see Radiohead, or I want to see this. Because we got... Joe in Brentford went to see the Rolling Stones in Hyde Park on his dad's shoulders. He doesn't know how old he was, but he was born in 1974. Now, that is really cool. Some of these are lying,
But
sure.
music was cooler then, wasn't it? Is that fair to say? I certainly there's more comedy now than there used to be. Is there more music now than there used to be?
I don't know, but there must have been really dodgy bands.
I'm getting funny looks.
There must have been really dodgy bands to go and see in the 70s and 80s. And even now, you know, you got all these people saying that their first gig was Radiohead or the Franklin Walters or all these amazing acts. But, you know, no one's first gig was Brother Beyond.
But to be fair, I bet the people who went to rubbish first gigs probably just aren't texting in. There are people who
They probably don't listen to Six Music.
They probably don't. They probably listen to other radio stations. Rubbish ones.
Are there other radio stations?
Not in my world.
No.
So we'll move on now. We'll wrap up first gigs and decide that you're all cooler than we are. So well done. And we'll move on to Am I Normal, which is a feature where you text in the fact that you're weirdos. And usually when it's me and Russell, he goes, God, you're weirdos. And I go, I don't think they are. Nowadays, you just get told you're perfectly normal. So text in anything. If you've killed someone, text it in. I'll tell you it was all right. The text number is 64046. The email is russell.don't text in if you've killed someone. I can't believe we live in a world where I have to clear that up. But the looks I'm getting in the studio seem to indicate that that's not a cool thing to say. Don't text in if you've killed someone. Contact the police. There is help for you out there. Email in russell.sixmusic@bbc.co.uk. What's your Am I Normal this week, Mark?
Well, you know I suffer from them because I genuinely think that everything I do is perfectly fine and no one's going to think it's weird.
Which in its sense is an Am I Normal, thinking that there's nothing weird about you.
I have had problems this week sleeping because in my head I'm writing a sitcom based on the lives of sausages.
Right. How's that going?
It's all right.
Have you hit the walls yet?
Oh, yeah, nice.
I'll come up with quicker puns than
you see,
anyone
I
else.
should just phone you up and get you to help me with this.
Everyone should phone me up and get me to help.
The two central characters are called Pork and Leek.
Of course they are. I don't really like a pork and leek sausage.
Do you not?
No. Right. Is this just a plug? Is this an honor? When I asked you Am I Normal, did you think this was a chance to plug your...
I've been lying in bed thinking of different types of sausage and what they could be as characters in a sitcom.
Right.
So that's my way. And my other Am I Normal is I never want to be a singer. You know, everyone has kind of...
I think you're all right there. I don't think that's a threat.
Lots of people have kind of rock star aspirations. Like, you look at these two. I mean, the Adams, they both look like they want to be rock stars. Both of them look really cool. Me, I'd like to be a backing singer.
Right.
I'd like to
Again, I
be-
think you're going to struggle.
I'd like to be one of the pips.
Right. Yeah, you're pretty much an entire Granny Smith's apple, I'm afraid, and I think that's what's going to hold you back. Text us in your Am I Normals, we'll do
See,
more.
that was another one.
Yeah, I know. I just
Another
drop them in.
insult
But
every
don't
5
pretend
minutes.
you won't be using this in your Edinburgh show. It won't be called Granny Smith and a picture of you and an apple doing a dirty face as if you've done something to that apple. So we're doing Am I Normal. We had a couple in about sort of smelling stuff. We touched on this last week. There was a lot about smelling. Am I normal? Back in the days of tapes, my natural instinct worries me initially, as soon as you're clearing that up, was to sniff blank ones to see what was on them. That is very weird. But then this is a weirder one about smelling, right? This is from Victoria in Bristol. Technically, this one isn't for me. I went out on a date with a guy. The evening seemed to be a success. He was funny, intelligent, and extremely hot. At the end of the night, just as we were saying goodbye, we had a snog, etc. I don't really know what the etc. means there. I'm not really versed in dating, but I'm guessing the etc. is something dirtier than snogging. He took a massive sniff, which in itself is fine, but then proceeded to tell me how he liked to smell new people that he meets. Needless to say, I never saw him again. See, that's really unfortunate. So sometimes people smell nice, especially girls. Sometimes they smell like the summer,
You do
especially
it,
this
don't you?
time of year. I sniff.
You do it, don't
Yeah,
you?
if
You walk past people and you will sniff them as they walk past.
Some people just smell really nice. It's quite relaxing when people smell nice. It makes you believe their entire life is fine. People who
It's not
smell horrible.
It's not relaxing for them to be sniffed.
I don't follow them. I don't do a loud one. I just sort of, as they walk past, just... Sometimes that noise comes out, which is always unintentional. Have you got any Am I Normals there before we make me look like more of a weirdo?
I've got one from Rosie, whose mate can recite pi to 125 places from memory.
Well, that is good. 125. I just said this at the gig, though. To be honest, you get to a point after 4 where no one really knows what it is. And if you just reel off numbers with confidence, no one's really going to question you.
I've got one from an Am I Normal from Will from Brighton. I collect customers' handwritten shopping lists, usually left in trolleys. I'm compiling a book. Am I normal?
Not possibly normal. It's quite, manipulative.
There's a really
I think.
great... He may not want to compile a book because there's a really great magazine that comes out called Found.
Oh, you showed me a copy of yours.
Well, there's a version called Dirty Found.
Yeah, that's what you've got. Of course you wouldn't have the clean version. Do you want to tell people what Found is and then tell them what Dirty Found is and then tell them why you bought Dirty Found ahead of Found?
Found is a magazine that people go around and they find pictures or shopping lists or letters or anything kind of, just laying around.
The detritus of everyday life.
The detritus of everyday life. And yeah, some American publishers put them in a magazine, and they've also done a slightly more adult version called Dirty Found.
Yes.
Which has got different types of letters,
Yes.
pictures,
Mostly pictures, isn't it, Mark?
etc.
It's the cast aside pornography of complete strangers. You're horrible. And the thing is, you show me these, because we used to live together, Mark and I, and you show me these things, and you know me not well enough to know never am I going to go, that's really cool.
John Robbins, on the other hand.
Well, Jon Robbins, who joins me next week, he's one of our other flatmates. He likes a giggle, and he also likes people's bits. Hi, John. I'd like to know what you think of the following. This is from Laura. My friend's currently travelling around the world, and I recently received an email from her updating me on all the exciting things she'd been doing. This made me feel special and loved. However, I later found out that she'd essentially sent the same email to everyone that knew her, simply changing the name at the top and adding a short personalised paragraph. Am I normal to feel offended by this, or is it cheating and dishonest of my friend? I think it's fine, to be honest. If you're travelling around the world, she's in a net cafe. She's got far more exciting things to do. She can't be writing a proper email to everyone. You're really shaking your head.
Yeah,
there.
I'm shaking my head because I agree with you, but
Yeah.
I don't believe that you think that.
No, I don't think... If you're travelling around the world...
unbelievable.
My sister's just got back from travelling around the world, and it's her birthday today. Happy birthday, Tamsin. She's just got back. I wouldn't be offended to get a circular. Although my sister, because we're related, did a global, but then sent me a separate email just saying,
Yeah.
all right, geese.
And there's nothing...
She didn't say, all right, geese.
There's nothing wrong with a global email like that. But if you found out that someone had pretended that it was personalised and wasn't, you would hate that person. You're making it sound like you've not got hatred for a lot of people, And you...
I haven't got hatred for people I like. If I get a random email from a stranger boasting about things they're doing around the world and it's a global and they've just added it to wind me up, I probably would be like, I've got friends going around the world. All my friends have gone around the world. I'm really angry about it. They've all just done cool stuff. And I've moved to Swindon, which is great, but just doesn't sound the same.
You're on Six Music.
Yeah, listen to me. But you can't email your mates and go...
They are. People are.
Oh, yeah. I meant that to sound like one of those sort of camp hark at her things. I don't know why I thought that would be funny. Thanks for drawing attention to it, though. But global emails are for people who are doing a lot, and therefore you're essentially short on time. That'd be very... Imagine if your friend got back from going around the world, and because they knew you're a weirdo, you go, oh, did you see Machu Picchu? No, I didn't have time, because I had to send a separate email to you, and I missed the coach to Machu Picchu, because I was telling you about the Bacardi I'd had the night before, because I know you get weird if I send a group email. I'd be perfectly fine with that.
I suppose you need to start sending group emails because of all the time that you spend watching...
Steve Gutenberg. Some cracking films on Sky. Sky have just sort of changed the way they do their movie channels, and they've got specific channels for specific types of movie now. I just record all the comedies. Teen Wolf, Dogs That Can Play Football. It's great stuff. But then occasionally they catch you with a sideball and you think, Steve Gutenberg, this will be funny. Bang, you're crying. It's like when Sarah Green did that Halloween thing. That's lovely Sarah Green off of the telly, and then there's ghosts in my house. Cacking myself. This is a weird one. Josie from Liverpool. In the mornings, when I see my flatmate in the kitchen, thank God you didn't have this when we used to live together, cooking in his dressing gown, I feel compelled to either lift up his gown... Right, that's weird anyway. This is failing that. I feel compelled to lift up my own gown and wail at him. I'm not gay and my intentions aren't pork-based. I just find this more amusing than is possibly normal. Yeah, you definitely... That's not normal. But I'm living on my own. That's really tickled you, hasn't it? And you're wishing that had come in when we lived together.
I really do.
I laughed. I put myself on my kitchen floor this week with a joke that I made to myself. Because I make jokes to myself. Like, I'd been upstairs in the office doing some writing for the show, because I take the show seriously. A wasp came in and I had to run downstairs. I thought might as well have a cup of tea. But when the wasp came in, I heard a and I went, oh, pardon me, to myself. And then I realised it was a wasp. I ran downstairs. It was about my 5th cup of tea that morning in my Winnie the Pooh mug. And I put the mug down and it was all stained from all the tea I'd had. And I went, whew, Pooh's taken a real pounding today. And I laughed for actually, it was about 20 minutes. And then when I stopped laughing, I texted my friends to tell them about the joke I'd just done, and that in itself made me laugh even more. So we're cracking on with our normal, getting some good ones in. Mike in Bearwood, when I go to pay and display car parks, I always pay for extra hours. I enjoy the feel-good factor of passing my ticket on to other parkers on my exit, granting them free parkage. I really suffered from that this week. I went into Swindon Town Centre, and a family walked past me. I'm not going to pretend I didn't judge them with my eyes. And then I got out of my car to buy my ticket, and the guy ran over me. Here you go, mate, 3 hours on that. 3 hours. I only needed half hour. I took it off him, and then I thought, should I have given him money? Should I have said, oh, we'll have a couple of quid towards it? Because I wouldn't have spent a couple of quid, because I only wanted 90p's worth. What do you do? It's a real minefield. I didn't pay him anything, but then I gave the ticket to another old man when I left. So the car park really got screwed this week. I like there's someone sat there doing their takings this week for the car park going, for some reason they're down this week. Teach you to charge me more. There's 2 car parks next to each other in Swindon Town Centre. Identical car parks. One's £1.10 an hour, one's 90p an hour. Like a sap, I was using the £1.10 one. I wondered why people were driving past laughing at me. They were going into the 90p one, and there's balloons in there and cake.
How's it going in Swindon?
I'm loving it. Pretty lonely. Michael in Norwich. If I have my windscreen wipers on during a car journey, upon arrival at my destination, I have to make sure the wipers are back to their normal position for fear that something terrible might happen to my car. I can't leave my wipers halfway up when you cut your engine off. And the worst thing is, what I really, really hate is when you're driving along with someone and it's stopped raining and they leave their wipers on because they're on intermittent and they haven't noticed, and it's stopped raining and it... Oh, it really gets on my nerves. But you don't want in someone else's car to say, how do you word that? You can't just reach over and turn it off, but then you can't just go, should I just turn your wipers off before I smack you?
No, you just go, oh, you know it stopped raining.
Yeah, but that sounds really sarcastic, doesn't it? Yeah, no, it stopped raining, don't you? You know it stopped raining, you've left your windscreen.
But that's not very good for your wipers either.
No, well...
So say that to them.
Here's a little tip for you as well. When you take your wipers in and the garage tell you need new wipers, you don't. Get a bit of vinegar on a bit of cloth, wipe it along your wiper. All you've got is grease on your wipers. Don't let them screw you for a new pair of windscreen wipers. Jon Richardson telling it like it is. Go on, Mark, have you got any of my normals?
Yeah, I've got one from Gary in Bury St Edmunds. Bit of a strange one.
Right.
Here goes. I have to count to 1,000 in tens when I need to unload but only once sitting on the toilet.
1,000 in tens. That's pointless. Why don't you count to 100 in ones? The same thing. You're just making it difficult for yourself. You're trying to make you feel like you're better at maths.
But you set up this am I normal thing, so you shouldn't argue
I did,
with it.
yeah, look at me now. Well, we've had a couple in. One's not really an am I normal. It says, "Hi, John. Mr. Banyard, my French teacher, made me wee a bit. I was making faces behind him in class. Needless to say, I hated French from then on." But then this one's come in. Am I normal? At the weekend, I wear one shoe and one trainer, so I'm casual but smart. If I go to church or end up in court, at least I look half decent. That's from Greenock Rab. Now, general consensus in the studio is that is a lie. What do you think?
Yeah,
I don't believe anyone would actually do that.
I don't like them.
It's made me very... we've set up this, and you can. I've said you can confess to murder on this, as long as you actually did it. Do you know what I mean? Be honest. If you're not going to take it seriously, and there's no point in doing this anymore, I don't know why we carry on with the show at all. Someone's got right into the Rustbot, Stevie from Glasgow. Interesting to hear you've got a version of Russell in robot format. It is interesting, isn't it? Myself and a few office colleagues... It's a bad start to any email, isn't it? Myself and a few office colleagues, we tried this with one of our workmates and named it the Seanbot 3000, but he doesn't say what his workmate was called. This clearly wasn't enough, and we had it updated to version 2.1, which came with a cracking telephone manner, charming witticisms, and a cheeky little golf swing. Which updates would you deem necessary for the Rustbot 3000? Well, the Rustbot, we're going to update it week on week, so I don't know.
What version's this at the moment, then?
This is the basic Rustbot 3000.
Oh, okay.
But we had a software added this week, but it wasn't really an update. But I'm just going to fiddle around with it during the week.
I trusted you.
Well, you shouldn't have. So, am I normal? We had a horrible one here. I didn't like... This is from Buzz in London, and no wonder he's given an assumed name, but one from Home Alone, so it's fine by me. I didn't like my flatmate's girlfriend, and she kept staying over, so I urinated on her pink toothbrush. Am I normal? You're not normal. You're a horrible, horrible, horrible man. That is a disgusting thing to do to a fairly innocent person as well, and I think that's horrible.
Stop touching the guests, you filthy beast.
Sorry, Russell. So, have you got any Am I Normals?
I've got Winnie the Pooh mug. That's not normal.
I've got a whole set. I've got Winnie the Pooh, Eeyore, and Tigger and Piglet, and when guests come round, I offer them whichever mug they'd like, and I make assumptions on their personality based on which character they choose.
How often do you have guests?
Once. I had a dinner party, it was fine. I had a comedian round a week last week. Dan Atkinson came round. We had coffee, freshly made, filter coffee, fair
Lovely.
trade, saving the world.
Got a text from Martha, lovely Martha.
Right, sometimes I think she's a dream. And she's texted in. She always does that, because when we work out what she's got to do, you can always count on Martha. Always count on Martha. We can depend upon you. I've got that on my iPod.
She gave up crisps for Lent, and I gave up fried chicken. And she
Tricking? Tricking, licking. You gave up doing card tricks with battered cards. Pick a card, any cards. They're all covered in grease.
And she just had her first packet of crisps since February the 20th. P.S. Mark Olver is a dirty old man. So there you go.
So if it's Easter Sunday today, happy Easter Sunday. If you've been giving up stuff for Lent, is today the day you can go mental?
I think so. I'm not going mental today. I'm going to go mental tomorrow.
Fried chicken, that was a really brave decision for you, because you are a man who enjoys his fried chicken.
Oh, God, I've not had any since Show Tuesday.
So it's tomorrow that I think, isn't it? Tomorrow's the day you can go
So
back.
what I'm going to do, I'm going to go and get myself a bath full of fried chicken. I'm going to fill the bath with it. I'm going to sit in it, and then I'm going to eat my way out. That's my plan tomorrow.
How can you... Oh, that would be horrible. A bath of fried chicken. Oh, God, that's really made me feel sick.
Oh, it sounds amazing. I've got an Am I Normal that I think you will like.
Just read it before I vomit.
I get frustrated when something that's described as next door or bang opposite
Bang opposite. That sounds like a personal slight, because that's the sort of thing I'd say. Bang opposite the post office
isn't precisely in that location.
Right.
If somewhere's a few doors away or across the street from a landmark, it should be described as just that. I see no need to generalise so heavily.
Right, well, that sounds like quite an angry man. If he doesn't get that angry about asking directions, maybe he should research where things are himself and not get angry at innocent members of the public. John, I reckon this is a normal bloke thing, and having read it, I can say my mate Lee used to do it, but I certainly don't. I always sniff my fingers after scratching. Am I normal? From Gary, suitably enough in Ickworth, which I think has probably been renamed since that filthy swine moved there. Do you smell your fingers after you scratch?
I don't really scratch that much. I do look at a tissue if I've blown my nose.
Well, that's the interesting one, looking at a tissue, because there's an actual reason to do that.
Yeah.
And it's horrible. And when I look at other people do it, I go, ugh. But then I notice I always do that.
You like to see how green the mucus is?
Well, no, it's not that. It's that I have a very sensitive upper nasal passage, and I'm very, very, very often get nosebleeds. And so I need to check when I blow my nose that I haven't just blown blood all over the inside of a tissue.
It's handy even if you don't have an upper sensitive nasal passage.
Yes.
Oh, put those words in an order.
Yeah.
Because if you've got a cold and you blow, if it's clear, it means you're getting a bit better. But if it's really dark, it means you're still a bit poorly.
I thought it was the opposite way around. I thought when it was mucus, that was a sign that your body was fighting the illness, and that meant that you were getting better, because it was producing a lot of mucus.
Oh.
What a disgusting conversation to be having on Easter
But
Sunday.
can someone text in and tell us which one's right? Because I think when it's clear, it means you're all right, you've just got a bit of a snotty nose. But when it's really dark, it means that you've got a cold. Adam's nodding, you're going, yeah.
What do you think it is?
Mine does sound more logical, because you've got all that oral... But then John's could be right, because that's all the nastiness coming out. So
But when
That means you're still ill.
Yeah.
doesn't it?
You're still ill, but you're getting better.
But when it's clear, you then got better.
That's
God,
a
this
very
is-
good point, yeah.
I'm not sure this isn't the most boring thing
Could
that's ever
someone
happened
text
on
in?
live
'Cause
radio.
there's a chart that you get in hospitals, the stool chart.
There's a
isn't
chart
there?
you get in hospitals. There's a very special ulva chart. There's a grade of ulva.
What's the stool chart? I think it might even be called...
Let's
like,
not
the
turn this onto stools. We were talking about snot. I said, this is a bit gross. And you think, I know what I do. I turn it into a conversation about stools. If we text in, don't text about poo stools. Text in about actual stools. What's the most comfortable stool you've ever sat on? 64046. I did a gig in High... Oh, God, I'm really boring. I did a gig in High Wycombe this week and got chatting about the Chair Museum in High Wycombe. And they've got a chair there that, if it falls over, it doesn't matter which end you put it up, because it's always the right way up, that chair. You can sit on it any which way but
that
loose.
sounds really good.
Yeah, cracking, innit? And I've been talking about pie and chairs. Well, wrapping up Am I Normal now, we've had a text in that simply says Mark's right, exclamation mark, which I assume relates to snot. So well done, Mark, you're right. And then we've had one that says, John, I feel incredibly comfortable if I drop a stool after counting to 1,000 in tens. Who's laughing now? From Gary in Bury St Edmunds. No one's laughing. They're all just staring at you, Gary, just staring at you thinking, why do you say these things? Why do you say these things? Well, probably because I asked you to. We've got some cracking Am I Normals in, so we'll do more next week as ever, so keep them coming in if you think of any. And we're getting also a lot of first gig texts, so we'll go back to that in the last hour. That seems to have fired off. But in the next hour, I want to talk about... We went to do the news this week, Mark and I, talk about what's happened. It's been an incredibly depressing week in the news. Nothing fun has happened anywhere. So I thought it would be nice to do some nice news. No horrible stuff. So what I want you to do is text in 64046, email russell.6music@bbc.co.uk. The nice things that have happened to you this week. Maybe you got particularly good service somewhere. Maybe someone gave you their last sweet. Anything. We're going to find the nicest deed done this week and arrange to do something nice for the perpetrator of that deed. Russell Howard is in Australia performing comedy for Australians, and here we are talking about stools. Someone has emailed in the full stool scale, which I'm pleased to announce is called the Bristol stool scale, and there's pictures and everything, so thanks for that. This is usually about the time I crack out the cakes, but I think we'll wait a little bit today. Someone emailed in to say, I was just pushing out my morning stool when your talk about stools made me laugh and ruined the whole moment for me. Well, I'm very, very sorry. I would rather not have been talking about this. I'd rather not have ruined that moment for you. But since we have, I can apologise on behalf of Six Music and everyone at the BBC that your morning motion was ruined by
Are you
by our
apologising
chat.
on behalf of Parky?
Parkinson says sorry. Steve Wright says sorry. Ken Bruce says sorry about that. Jeremy Vine says sorry. That's how he talks.
Sarah Kennedy.
Every day, Jeremy Vine takes over from Ken Bruce. Every day the same. Thanks, Ken. And I do it in my car if I'm driving along.
Sarah Kennedy don't say sorry. She's not saying sorry.
Sarah Kennedy's saying sorry, but she'll email it in midweek. Now, what we're doing is this is a new feature called One Good Deed, where we're trying to get you to text in nice things that you've done. People don't really talk about nice things because it seems like bragging if you've done something nice to someone, but I say, hang that, let's brag, let's talk about nice things. This is the story. I looked through the papers all week, and even the little stories that are usually funny were horrible this week. Off with their heads, is a headline in the Express. Intrigue and suspicion raged last night after a spectacular daffodil display. I would question that any daffodil display can be spectacular because, to be honest, it's just loads of daffodils, and the more spectacular just means more daffodils. But anyway, it was sabotaged, scuppering a village's bid for Britain in Bloom Award in a wanton act of vandalism. Not one of these necessary acts of vandalism that we all have to carry out every now and again. It was a wanton act of vandalism. The heads of up to 5,000 daffodils were snipped off at Hart Hill with Woodall in South Yorkshire. And Peter Dungs was in the paper, and he said, I believe this was a calculated act not one of those accidents where you accidentally snip the heads off 5,000 daffodils, by jealous rivals, perhaps from another village. So he's accusing another village. And then he goes on to say, at first I thought it was vandals on their way home from the pub. And we've all done that, to be honest. You stumble out of the pub after a few Magners on a summer's day with your secateurs, and you think, what am I going to do on the way home? I'll snip 5,000 daffodils. But it's horrible, because Britain in Bloom judges were supposed to be coming to this village to judge their display, and someone snipped it off. So he accused Thorpe Salvin, which is a nearby village. Well, Patricia Ibbott's not having that. She says Thorpe Salvin isn't even in the same category as Harthill. They're in the large village section, and we're not even in that. Police are now hunting the perpetrators, and Mr Dungworth said, I've left the flowers where they are so that the Britain in Bloom judges can see them, and I'm putting up a notice which says 5,000 daft flowers were cut off here. To be honest, I'd sweep them up. You're not going to win a display for dying flowers. But it was such a horrible... And they were all like that this week. Everything was horrible. So I want nice things. You've got nice stories, haven't you?
Do you want people to text in nice things they've done or nice things people have done for them?
Ideally, nice things that other people have done for them, because if something's really nice, we'll pick the nicest one, and behind the perpetrator's back, we'll find out what they did, and then we'll organise something nice for them. So find out what they're into. This is open to
Can we send
light.
them a laminated copy of the Bristol Stool Chart?
We could send them a laminated copy of the Bristol Stool Chart, but I can't help but feel that would be a malicious gesture on our part. Well done for doing something nice for someone you care for. Here's a picture of Pooh. And not Winnie the Pooh either, which would be a pleasant gift, and something to have put on a mug for when guests come round. So what? Go on, who's done nice stuff for you? People must have done nice stuff for you.
My mum. My mum is genuine. Well, she let you park your car in her driveway.
She did let me... Oh, honestly. Oh, that is just disgusting. Oh, I can't... She's lovely, your mum. She did let me park my damaged car. I left it in the driveway for 2 weeks.
Damn right.
Shut up, Rosspot. Just leave it. Move on. My car was broken. I needed somewhere to leave it. I was going out of the country. She said, you can park it on our concrete driveway, which I did. It was a very nice gesture. What nice things she done for you?
She bought me some
You
curtains.
filthy swine. She's never doing anything nice for you after this.
I didn't mean it rude. It was the Adams laughing. It was their giggling.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, damn right, Rosspot.
Well-
He knew what he meant.
She bought me some curtains for my birthday, and they weren't long enough for the window, and so this week she has put on an extra little bit at the bottom, sort of another 6 inches.
Right. Oh, Jesus Christ.
No!
Why did she not just buy longer curtains?
Because it was the maximum size.
Has she got the proper, like, the same material as your curtains are made from?
No, it got different. But then she said, no, she phoned me yesterday.
You know what I'm
and
like for balance.
No, she phoned me yesterday and went, do you know what, Mark? I was looking in some magazines.
She sounds a lot like you, your mother, doesn't she?
You know what, Mark?
I don't know why I was interested in her. I can't believe this was supposed to be a nice link from stools to beautiful gestures, and it's turned into horrible mum touching. You're giggling, Mark. What are you laughing at?
I'm just laughing at Adam has just shown me, and Shane McGowan looks he counts to 1,000 and then eats stools.
I don't think he
Nice.
can count to 1,000 anymore. I think he's had a little bit too much to drink for counting to 1,000. Now we're moving on from all this filth. Now it's time to just count down.
3, 2, 1.
Thanks very much, Rosspot. Let's all move on from this filth, because people are now texting in with nice emails and apologising for the fact that they aren't about stools or mucus, which is horrible. Eva has emailed in, says, guys, I'm going to meet for the first time my future sister-in-law today. Do you have any advice? I had a nightmare that I ran out of things to say to her and asked if my brother was any good in bed. It was awful and I woke up in a cold sweat. I'm aware this has nothing to do with stool or mucus. So sorry. Don't be sorry. You don't need to apologise for that. I don't know, meeting your future sister-in-law. Girls are quite catty when they meet for the first time. There'll be a lot of one-upmanship going on, won't there?
No, just be nice.
It's a nice day, innit? Get drunk, I say. Get drunk. If you want to ask about
No,
whether
don't
your
get
brother's
drunk.
good in bed or not, just ask.
No,
no
don't
point
ask.
having tension.
You don't want to know.
I think she obviously does. Or she
You
wouldn't have
find
texted it in. Just get it out. I say get it out of the way. Ask first. Just say, listen, out of 10, how's he doing? I need to know.
And
Is he
she
still a
said,
6?
I'd give him 1.
I asked his last fiancée. Right, nice things. Let's get on with this. We're getting some good ones in. This one comes in to Russell. My name's John, but I didn't say that. Russell's in Australia doing gigs for nice people. It's John and Mark in the studio today. My neighbour's cat was stuck on a higher branch of her silver birch tree this week, which kind of implies that the cat gets trapped every week, but this week got a little bit too brave. I'd be inclined to leave the cat up there. I don't really like cats, and if it keeps climbing up the tree, it needs to learn a lesson about how far it can climb up trees. But nevertheless, Stuart in Southampton, I got a ladder out of the garage and got her cat down. She was so grateful that she made me lunch. It was very nice. I saw a story about this week. They flushed a murderer. This is another horrible story. Someone murdered someone. But they locked themselves in their hotel room. So to get them out, they winched a crane up and used a fireman's hose and blasted him out of the window and down onto a sheet. Which makes me think if cats get stuck in trees, you should just call the fire brigade and they should just blast them out with a fire hose. I was given a free cup of white coffee by a certain high street bean grinder. A nice deed. Great. Except I'm lactose intolerant, so it was an attempt upon my life. Right, well...
We're going back to that whole stools chat again as well.
I saved my friend from a wasp this week. Since he's allergic, I saved his life. He thanked me by buying me a pizza. Happy days. I had a lovely pizza this week, frozen one.
About the supermarket that have stopped stocking a particular type of Easter egg because a bloke ate one who was allergic to milk and nearly died. But surely he should have realised that he shouldn't have ate that Easter egg.
Yeah. To be fair, though, if the Easter egg in question was called this Easter egg doesn't contain any milk guaranteed Easter egg, then that probably is right that they take it off the shelves.
That is a fair point. I stopped a guy with Parkinson's fallen over by asking if I could tie his shoelace up for him. That's Zoe in Cambridgeshire. Kind of made up for accidentally killing a crab earlier in the week.
Accidentally killing a crab?
Yeah.
How do you accidentally kill a crab?
I don't know.
I squashed a snail outside my front door this week. Sorry about that snail, but he's dead.
Oh dear. How do you know it was a he?
Oh, and I squashed a wasp, and it was on my front door handle, and I couldn't get in my door, so I threw a peanut Kit Kat chunky at it, and it squashed it, and when they die, they release fumes, don't they, getting all the other wasps involved. And now I think I've either got a wasp's nest outside my house, I'm trapped in my house, I can't get into it because of all the wasps, and on the back door, spiders built a big web across my back door conservatory, so I can't get out into the garden now. The wasps and spiders trapping me in my own house.
I love a peanut.
Oh, they're lovely.
Oh.
You know, any peanut bar, to be honest, is an improvement on the other. And again, unless you've got a nut allergy, Peanut Lion, fantastic. Peanut Lion's one of the best chocolate bars you'll ever eat if you like peanuts and you like lions. When driving yesterday, I let a lot of people out in front of me, maybe 6, which is a lot more than usual. That's from DJ H in Darlington. I don't know if he's a DJ or he's just abbreviated his full name, like a teacher. A horrible thing about letting people out is that no one else knows that you've let the person out in front of you. There should be signs on top of cars that keep count, like the things you get, you are, customer 76, should keep a tally of how many people you've let out. So when you get to the bottom of a hill, the person who doesn't know that you've let out the 5 cars in front of you can see your little tally and go, oh, fair enough, he's let out 12, so I'm not going to get angry at him.
It's what I hate most about London, actually, because I do go through periods where I really detest it, and then I go around and go, oh, no, actually, it's quite nice here, and then I'm driving along, and I let someone out, and they don't thank me. That is the worst thing about this city, isn't it? And to
be fair, that's true of a lot of cities, not just London. It's just in London they've got to rush because they've got crimes to get to. And I don't mean that they're the police. Everyone in London's a criminal. You heard it here first from Jon Richardson. But I get very angry when people don't let you out. Where I've moved in Swindon, not to keep going on about it, but they've got lots of those little things that jut out into the road, so they have to let people through.
Homeless people.
No. Like safety things to slow cars down, but they don't slow you down, they just make you angrier so that you speed up.
But there aren't any cars in the area that you are there?
No one lives where I live. I think they've all moved out. But when I do let people out, they never sort of say thank you. They just move on, and I get very angry about it. The one I've picked up of you that I really like, that you did once when we were walking through Bristol, was when you get to a zebra crossing and a car doesn't stop, you do like a cartoon stance of Wile E. Coyote as if you're about to run in front of the car. And I really like that, so I've started doing that now. Because a lot of people don't stop at zebra crossings anymore.
No, they don't.
We've got to take the worst drivers off the road. I did a university gig a couple of weeks ago, and I was chatting to this guy, and he said, oh, gosh, I'm just about to sit my 5th driving test. I'm just a bit rubbish at driving. And I just thought, well, don't drive then. You're clearly rubbish at it. You don't have a right to drive. Driving's a privilege if you can do it. You wouldn't just go out and pick up a forklift to go to the supermarket in, because you don't know how to drive a forklift. If you're rubbish at driving, I'd have him tried for attempted murder, because by knowing that he's that bad at driving and persisting in having his tests, all he's doing is getting to a position where he can kill someone on the road. You don't have a right to drive. True or false? I'm getting angry. No one's backing me up. They're just staring at me now. But there should be like a 3 strikes and you're out thing for driving. You shouldn't be allowed to have infinite tests.
This section's meant to be nice.
Oh yeah.
We're trying to be all positive.
Well, have you got any nice things?
I've got a nice one.
I'll just wrap this up by saying, because we'll end with the nice thing. But I genuinely believe 3 strikes and you're out. If you fail your test the 3rd time, you're just rubbish at driving. Just move off. It's not that difficult.
Can we move on?
2 minors
Can
I
we
got on
move
my
on?
test. One was for excessive caution. Who isn't
Why were you
cautious on their driving
Why
test?
were you driving in a pit?
What?
2 minors.
All right, nice. Lovely stuff.
Yeah, thanks.
Right, well, you've earned the chance to read this email, so well done.
It's not something that's happened that someone did nice, but this is cute. Paul in Worcester Park. 3 fox cubs have been born in my back garden, less than a foot long and not even red yet.
His garden or his foxes? Oh, that's quite nice.
That's
foxes.
sweet, though, isn't it?
It's not really a nice
Little
thing to have done unless he sort of assisted with the birth, which I'm guessing he didn't. If he was out there with hot towels wiping the fox's head, or maybe the foxes were born, the cubs, and then he took them to a hunt and just sort of waved them in front of all the people.
Oh.
Like, look at these. Do you want to hunt these, do you? Nah, I'm taking them back. I've done some Weetabix with hot milk I'm going to give to him. We've had a text in from Martha. I have an amazing spider catcher that my brother got me for Christmas. I can lend it to you if you like. That could be my good deed. I have got a spider catcher, but it's not on a wall. The spider catchers, you press them against a wall and you close the shutter. But it's sort of suspended because the web goes across the door. So I would have to throw the spider catcher at it. I could sort of bat it out with a with a baseball bat, but I don't have a baseball bat. It's ridiculous to be scared of spiders, isn't it?
Yes.
I mean, it's all right to be scared of spider-balls. No, spider-balls. Oh, it's such a difficult thing, talking, isn't it? A text has come in. I failed my test 4 times. I'm fine at actual driving. I just can't reverse park. From Enid. Now, that's part of driving, though, isn't it? Reverse parking. You have to reverse park. You can't just not reverse park. So that's part of driving.
No,
so when
you
you say you're fine at actual driving... And she says nice things about me afterwards as well, which makes me disinclined to say horrible things. But I just think... Just people that are rubbish on the roads.
Well, no,
just
but
need
maybe
to get rid of
Enid
them.
lives in a place that you don't need to reverse park. Maybe she
Where?
doesn't.
Space? With reverse parking's one day Enid's going to be driving and she's going to say, I'm just nipping down the post office. I know I can park there without reverse parking. And her mate, Mildred, is going to go, can you drop me off at Barclays on the high street because I need to pay a check-in? She's going to go, oh, I can't go there, I can't reverse park. And Mildred's going to go, I've got to pay this check-in, Enid. Otherwise the cat won't get its food. And then she's going to have to go down the high street. She's going to panic. She's going to go, oh, God, I can't reverse park. She'll slam it into what she thinks is reverse. It's actually first. She's looking behind her. She goes forward. 3 people.
But if she's dropping Mildred off, why does she have to reverse park?
She got parking for an hour, you see. Mildred's going to nip in the back and she thinks, well, I'll go to the post office in the high street. I'm not swinging back around the village. Pointless. If I'm parking
But
here,
if
I'll
it's a
just park
village,
here.
there's not going to be loads of parking.
Oh, she's not going to the village now. They don't have
why
a
doesn't
Barclays
she
in the
just-
village.
Why doesn't she just park on those places that you're allowed to park on, those zigzag lines near zebra crossings?
You are not allowed to park on the zigzag lines at zebra crossing. And people overtaking when you try to get on the motorway. Unbroken white line means do not cross. Do not cross my line, or I will complain about you on the radio, anonymous people. But how many tests did you have?
I passed on my 3rd.
Well, you see, lucky, you're in. You just got in, but you're a terrible driver. You're a terrible driver.
I'm not
I
a
need to say.
terrible driver.
I've driven with you. You are terrible.
No, I'm
you
better
use
than
your
Russell.
mobile phone when you drive.
No, I don't.
You eat chocolate.
No, I don't.
You eat Soleros.
No, I don't.
Oh, apparently no, you don't. Apart from that, I've seen you do it with my eyes and
I'm a
heard you do
better
it with my
driver than
ears.
Russell. You've actually said.
Oh, you're a better driver than Russell, but Russell can't even eat cereal. That's no good thing to say you're a better driver than Russell.
I'm a better driver than John Robbins.
John
come
Robbins
on,
in
I
next
am.
week. We'll give him the right to reply. Adam, can you drive? No,
I'm
you
better than
can
him.
drive, can't you? When did you pass?
First time.
First time. How many minors?
What's that?
Like minor faults.
Don't know.
Don't know. Can't remember. Unimportant.
All I care
You
is
see?
about that part.
You see, it's not that difficult, is it? Driving? I don't think. Or maybe I'm being unfair because I find it quite easy.
You are, and you're not a great driver.
But it's one of them things that you just... People think they have a right to drive. You don't have a right to drive. You have to... I can't get really
You've got
narky
dead
about
bodies
it.
in your boot.
I haven't got dead bodies in my boot. In my boot I have 2 boxes, one of which contains comestible items for if I have an overnight stay that wasn't planned, like hot chocolate, screw-tap red wine, so I can always have something to eat, pot noodles, biscuits, that kind of thing. And the other box contains items for the car, like antifreeze, windscreen washer fluid, air fresheners, that sort of thing.
Where do you keep the plastic cutlery?
Plastic cutlery is in the comestible items food box. Obviously, doesn't everyone do this? Behind their high-res coat in case they have a breakdown. I was just texting I was born in the 70s. Damn kids, Andy in Leeds. I don't know what that refers to. I was born in the 70s. Is that to do with acceptable in the 80s? You see, this is the other side of doing nice things for people. Someone texted in, hi, I asked a man who was lying in the middle of the street if he was okay, and he told me to expletive delete it off. Yeah, You've got to use your judgment as to why he's lying in the middle of the street. I'd assume if he'd been knocked down, there'd be other people around. Otherwise, he's probably just crazy.
That's an awkward one, though, isn't it? When you see two people arguing, a bloke and a woman arguing, and it's getting really intense, and he's getting a bit aggressive, do you go up and say, "Oi, leave it, mate"?
If it's a bloke and a woman?
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of. Well, unless they're crying, in which case they're both just drunk.
Okay.
But if it's an actual, if it's a confrontation... But I'm quite lucky because I'm incredibly well built. So if I go over, I lend an air of natural gravitas to a situation.
Yeah, see, I don't...
I can get away with that, yeah. No.
What I do, I stand a safe distance away and dance badly.
And throw chips at the man. Just behave, why don't you? So nice things. We'll wrap this up. I'm pretty sure we've already had a winner in, to be honest. An absolute cracker came in. There was a nice story in the Swindon Star's a great newspaper. I had one last week that was about faeces. But this one's nice. Dog swallows 15-inch stick and survives. This little dog, a couple's beloved 3-year-old Labrador, who helps raise money for the eye care unit at the Great Western Hospital. Dog's doing charity work, do you know what I mean? He goes off. Barton Stephen of Elms Veterinary Surgery told the Pontins, that's who owns the dog, it was the first time he'd seen anything like it in 25 years as a vet. Which, to be honest, you would hope, if as a vet, you live in a place where people are regularly coming in with dogs with 15-inch sticks inside them, you probably live in somewhere
How big's
horrible.
the dog? What type of dog is it?
It's a Labrador thing. It's a really pretty dog.
It's a big stick, though, isn't
It's a massive stick. There's a picture of this stick. I mean, it is a huge stick. It's like the bottom end, if you play a lot of snooker or pool, the bottom end of the two-piece snooker cue. It's that big. The dog swallowed it and it was sticking out of his sides, and they pulled it out, and the dog's fine now. But there's a little pun in there because the vet ends his interview by saying, "We took him home. The vet said he wasn't out of the woods, but the woods were out of the dog." So that's a nice story. The dog survived. And someone says, talking about doing nice things, my mate set up a website called letsallbenice.com, where you can enter your good deeds and have other users rank them using the niceness scale to boost your karma rating. So that's letsallbenice.com. We'll maybe put a link to that on the website. That's quite a nice idea. He says, personally, bus drivers who can clearly see me running for the bus and who subsequently wait for me, collapsing through the doors a little bit red and occasionally perspiring, deserve to come back as cats, the best animal ever. I would dispute that. I don't really like cats.
It is nice when you find a good bus driver, though.
Yes, that is nice. But you're not allowed to take them home.
But if you've not got the correct change, but they'll still kind of let you on. That's lovely, that is.
Yeah, the opposite of London taxi drivers, where I'm not going to get onto this, I'll get angry.
Hey, John, it's about time we had a tune.
All right, fair enough, Rosspot, fair enough. People are getting on at me about my having a go at drivers. Dear John, you are making no allowances for nerves with your driving argument. I kind of am, to be honest, because I said you're going to have 3 goes at it. If you're still that nervous on your 3rd test, then you're trying to hide something. It's like interviewing someone for a murder 3 times. If they're nervous on the 3rd one, they're obviously trying to hide something.
You're really into murder today, aren't you?
Yeah, it's getting close. But I think I am making allowances. And to be honest, if you're that nervous about driving, you're probably not very good at it. If you're nervous on the roads, it's as dangerous when you're flying along the motorway at a legal limit, 70 miles an hour, and someone's doing like 45 in the inside lane. You don't realise they're going that slowly, and you nearly crash into the back of them. So nervousness is as bad as... Because someone says, I failed my test 5 times... Yeah, it's a bad way to start a text if you're trying to win me over, to be honest. And I think it's made me a better driver. My brother passed first time, and he's a total boy racer. It's different for everyone. I do agree that passing first time might make you a bit arrogant. But failing 5 times...
No, I think some people just take a little bit longer at stuff.
Yeah.
See, it's all right for you. You do very well at most stuff very quickly. Whereas people like me, it takes a little bit of time. I didn't really learn to tie my shoelaces until I was about 12.
Yeah, you see, and that's why you wear slip-ons and women's shoes now. It's all there. It's all there in the background. Oh, speaking of background, someone texted in just to say, psychologists believe that a fear of spiders is caused by a repressed memory of seeing your parents having sex. That's what we're taught in our psychology lessons at school. Well, I think you should take a different A-level, to be honest, because it sounds like your teacher may be a pervert. I've never heard that before. I think a fear of spiders is caused by spiders being poisonous and the fact that they can eat you. I think that's probably...
Yeah, but what's your fear of daddy longlegs?
Oh, flying spiders.
Yeah,
that's all they are is flying spiders, and they've got poison in them that can kill you.
Yeah, there you go.
They can bite through and kill you, and
but they've not got teeth.
Their
big
teeth
enough.
aren't big enough to pierce it. There'll be a goofy one. There will be a goofy daddy longlegs who has it off with another goofy daddy longlegs, extra goofy babies, and it'll just happen. Like, there's goofy kids. One day it's going to happen to a daddy longlegs, and then that day everyone will die. All these arrogant people who swan over and pick them up, dead. We don't, Teaching you lessons. This has backfired, this nice thing, because people are now texting in nice things that they tried to do that backfired. My uncle was knocked off his motor scooter, right? That's not a nice thing to have had done to you. A woman went over to him, you would think to say, are you all right? And she said, do you realise you've left glass all over the road?
Oh.
That's harsh, isn't it? And, you know, you've left glass and blood all over the road. So I'll wrap up the nice things, because we have a winner who's Sky in Liverpool, who we tried to get in contact with, but did not answer our calls, which doesn't bode well. But we're going to keep on at you, Sky, until you break. You will not do nice things for people, you know, and not expect to get constant psychological damage. So we're going to keep on and send you some nice things. She says, the thing she did, I gave the lonely old woman next door some cake because she's so sweet and little. That's very nice. Speaking as the lonely old woman next door in Swindon, my neighbours never come round except to tell me that someone's parked in front of their garage.
But maybe that woman wouldn't be so lonely if Sky went round more often.
Sky's been round.
Once to take some cake.
Yeah, well, maybe that's the start of a beautiful friendship. That first move is the hardest one to make. The old woman's got a door as well. She can knock and go, listen, I'm your neighbour. You may know me as Little Old Woman. But for future reference, my name's Mildred. Can you give me a lift to Barclays? Back off, old woman. I can't drive because I can't reverse park. Tying it all together. But that's nice. She doesn't. I would have liked to speak to Sky just to get some more details on said old woman and some more details on the cake, to be honest. Because if it's just like a cake that you've bought. But if it's like, imagine making a cake for an old woman. That's a lovely gesture.
But you can do that, though. Are there old women who live near you?
No, but I am getting to know the woman on my right a little bit more. We've had a bit of chat. We bumped into each other in Tesco this week, so we had a proper... It's the first time we'd seen each other out of our houses.
Is that the one whose garage I parked in front of?
No, that's Spiderweb Hands, man. He works nights, so I'm thinking of having an affair with his wife, but it'd just be a gesture on my... It just seems like a wasted opportunity not to,
Do you think
honest.
they'll listen to Six Music?
I doubt it. If they do listen. They're very quiet. I never hear a peep out of them, which makes me run out of stuff to say to each other.
So who's the lady on your right, then?
She seems to live on her own. I've seen her putting some washing out. I don't really agree with her interior decor, but a lovely woman. Bumped into each other in Tesco. So, all right. And then I went, the thing. And then that was it, to be honest. I don't know. It's mid-50s. Sort of, you know, my demographic, to be honest. I've got nothing to say to women my own age. They frequently disappoint me. People are trying to usurp Sky in Liverpool now, with nice things that they've done. I bought my disabled neighbour a male urinal. I thought she was a man, but she took it, though. That's a nice gesture. I mean, on the subject of not knowing whether you'd knock on your neighbour's door or not, I probably wouldn't bother if my opening gambit was, I bought you a urinal. Probably pop round a couple of times first. I made a cake for an old man whose wife was in hospital. I would have made a cake for the wife, to be honest. Afternoon, John. There used to be a bus driver in the Kingston-upon-Thames area who let everyone on his bus for free after the pub shut. That was nice. He didn't keep his job for very long. You see, that's society biting back. Innes in Teddington. On bus drivers, I was saying goodbye to a friend of mine, and as she got onto the bus, the driver said I could come on as well, because he'd be willing to wait for a few more minutes.
Oh.
What a nice chap.
That's nice. What do you do with your next-door neighbours in terms of... Do people talk to them nowadays? Because you don't really know your neighbours like you used to, do you?
No, back in the good old days,
yeah, well,
when you could leave your doors open and a trail of sweets leading into your house.
The flat that the four of us were in, I don't think I ever spoke to anyone else in that house.
That was Clifton in Bristol. That's very posh people. They wouldn't talk to you.
Yeah, but I don't know. Is it weird to knock on the door of the person who lives above you and go, "Oh, hello, I'm Mark. Nice to meet you. How are you?"
I think so. Well, I kind of introduced myself to my neighbour. I said, "All right, how are you doing? My name's John," and then I kind of bottled it by saying I work from home. It looked like I was trying to say, "Well, let's have a bit of a chat," but I shouldn't have done that. We'll people are buzzing around me. Now, this I think is sarcasm. Hi, we can't get out of our flat today as there is a giant bunny in the garden with teeth the size of Esther Ranson's. I assume that... Is that implying that it's as ridiculous to be scared of bunnies as it is of spiders?
Yeah.
I don't really know, unless there is a massive rabbit. If there is a massive rabbit, I don't know what you do. Probably shoot it.
Not on Easter Sunday.
Oh, God, yeah. Oh, God, I completely forgot it was Easter Sunday. Don't shoot it. Take it a chocolate egg. signifying whatever that is supposed to signify. We'll have some music while I wash off the image of ruining Easter for children everywhere, and then after that we're going to pick up again the first gigs thing, because we have lots of those back in. We spoke to Sky while all that was going on, and we've arranged to send her some nice stuff. She's doing her own radio show herself sometime soon, a bit like Philippa at university, who's taking over. But we've had, you see, competition coming in now. Now we've decided on Sky. People, I'm not sure these aren't lies, because these are too nice. But someone says, "Hi John, I'm just about to go to the RSPCA to walk their rescue dogs. Even though I just want to sit and listen to the Smiths, because I was dumped 2 hours ago. James in Worcester Park." That's horrible, isn't it? You see, I don't know, maybe he should have won, but it's too late now, James, so hopefully you're over her. Anyone who dumps you on Easter Sundays is no friend, and you're better off without her or him, depending on your preference. Someone says, "I've talked to both my neighbours this week and gave one a book on panic attacks. A really good read."
On how to get them.
Well, yeah, I assume it's someone who
Let's hope it's not a pop-up.
Yeah, and then you see, I pushed an old man's invalid scooter, which had broken down, back to his house, which took 40 minutes. He was recovering from pneumonia, but I didn't stay for a cup of tea. And then, to ice the cake, he says, "That's from Phil, reverse parking instructor from Nottingham." I think those must be lies, because they're too good, but Sky's won, so she gets the stuff. And to wrap up, someone else says, "I used to be severely arachnophobic. Best tool of defence, the Hoover. But you have to be sure to duct tape the end of the sucker, just in case true evil rises from the dead." She said, "I had hypnotherapy to cure me, and it turns out her nan caused it all. When she was 3, she read Incy Wincy Spider, and her nan told her it would come out of the book and eat her." Which is pretty malicious, but also quite funny. I would quite like to... I think probably if I ever become a granddad, and let's be honest, the odds are against it, I'm going to do that sort of thing. But we're wrapping up now first gigs. We had one, someone who'd been to see Oasis, is that right?
No, someone went to see the Inspiral Carpets. Someone called John, spelled Jon.
My God, there can't be two.
From Swindon.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, we should hook up sometime. I'm usually down borders of a Monday. I'm not leaving my house tomorrow. Bank holiday Monday. Everyone will be about everywhere. I'm doing my gardening, and then I'm going to sit and get drunk in my garden.
On your own?
Yeah, but he could pop round.
What time are you going to cry?
Probably about 4 o'clock,
Yeah.
just at the beauty of the world, then go inside and then convince myself it's not that good after all.
John's first gig was Inspiral Carpets at the Oasis in Swindon. Is it still open?
I don't know, I've not heard of it.
Oh, it's the swimming pool with the tubes.
Tubes?
Yeah.
Right, OK, well, I'll go down
tubes. Go down there.
I don't really like swimming.
Noel Gallagher was the guitar roadie and liked the name of the place.
Swindon.
They wouldn't have been successful if they were called Swindon.
Oh, Oasis. Oh,
yeah.
God, I'm slow. I didn't have much to drink yesterday. I had a couple of red wines after the Harold Pinter theatre gig, but that was about it. I see. God, if they were called Swindon, that would have been funny, though, wouldn't it? All right, then. 1981, this one says. We were about 12 and went to see Vice Squad and Charged GBH. That sounds like a gig not to be at, to be honest. I don't know their kind of music, but I'm guessing it's fairly aggressive. We were a bit scared, but were in awe of the hundreds of big punks decadently walking around with glue bags stuck to their chins. Oh, baffling email. What's a glue bag? It's like a bag that you glue to your chin. I assume so. But she said most of them were from Lancaster Royal Grammar School. It wasn't like that in my day, I'll tell you. I'm now cleaning my paintbrushes in Terp Substitute and feeling a bit queasy. Everyone's having a cracking bank holiday. Nothing like cleaning paintbrushes and feeling sick. Sorry about the stool stuff earlier.
I've got one from Martin in Dorchester, whose first gig was Cliff Richard. His mum and dad took him. It wasn't his fault.
Right, nothing wrong with Cliff Richard. He gets a real kick-in for that thing at Wimbledon. They were having another go this week. It's years ago now, and they still, every time it comes up, goes, "Oh, God, Cliff Richard singing at Wimbledon. Everyone's praying it doesn't rain this year." But, you know, if you didn't want to listen to it, just go away. I think that was a nice thing to do. Other people would have sung that, I'm sure, but I don't think Muse go to Wimbledon. Maybe I'm wrong.
Maybe
Cliff Richard stood up to the plate. Hi, John. My first ever gig was Shaking Stevens at the Adam and Eve pub in Hackney 25 years ago. I really enjoyed the evening.
I've got one. My first gig was Nina, 99 Red Balloons, Germany, 86. That must have been like a homecoming gig for her. That would have been amazing.
Oh, there's a lot of international ones. I took my daughter. I didn't take my daughter, obviously, I haven't got one. Steve says, I took my daughter.
Not that you know of, yeah?
Yeah, no, I definitely haven't got one. Cannot clarify that enough, and I cannot... Anyway,
She'd be at least how old?
Don't go... God. Move that crying forward to 3:30. I'm going to have Bucks Fizz, got a bottle of champagne in the fridge already. I'm going to celebrate stuff. Steve has texted in, why does this always happen? I took my daughter to see James Blunt last year. A bit cruel. In Amsterdam. We've been living in Holland for 17 years. She, being 9, will always remember it because it was rubbish over there for Easter, staying with sister Sarah and husband Jimbo. So if you're listening, Sarah and Jimbo, Steve hated the time he spent with you.
No, I think it was rubbish. Over here, staying with sister...
Oh, they live over there. All right. So
Yeah.
if you're listening, Sarah and husband Jimbo, he likes you, just hates the people of Amsterdam. So if you're listening, Amsterdam, Steve hated the time he spent with you. I'm determined to spread some hate.
People don't put their names on the text, but this one is... Mine was all about Eve at the Astoria. The stench of patchouli oil is still with me.
What oil?
Patchouli oil. I know, it's something... I think it's something that the hippies...
All right, a lot of people having a pop at the people around them when they went to their first gigs. Rue in Runcorn. First gig was Levellers. Lots of cider and dog on string types. What's a dog on string? I assume he just means someone who would keep a dog on a piece of string.
Yeah, your crusties.
Oh, you crusties.
All right, love, you crusties, yeah.
Right.
John, I'm not cool. My first gig was Run Rig at Newcastle Town Hall. I don't care that I'm not cool. I think they're protesting a little bit much. It was a good night for an 11-year-old. They're on my iPod.
Right. There's nothing wrong with not being cool. The world is full of people who aren't cool. Cool people, by their very nature, are only ever few. Otherwise, they wouldn't be cool. They would be the majority. Russell Howard has gone somewhere and we can't get hold of him. So he's out there somewhere. He's had a gig. He wants to talk to us, but we can't get hold of him. So it's sort of supposed to be the big climax to the show, and it's turned out to be quite the disappointment.
Maybe the Rustbot 3000 can just step in and...
Yeah,
offer
all right
us
then.
something, yeah.
Rossbot 3000, how are you?
Lovely stuff, thanks.
Yeah, that's not really appropriate. You've just had a gig, I believe. Is that correct?
No!
Are you being sarcastic?
Maybe.
All right then. How was your gig out of 10?
6.
Okie dokie. Great. What are you going to do today?
A.
I said, what are you going to do today, you deaf swine? I actually used the letter A there, substituting for EH, as in, I beg your pardon. I don't want to use all my noises because I think it's time you left, Russell.
Please.
Oh.
Has he seen that bloke from the Lighthouse family?
I can't use that one twice. Oh, maybe I
This
can.
is a solo song from Tundi, formerly of the Lighthouse family.
Well, Russell, it's been a pleasure talking to you.
Thanks very much.
Okie dokie. Well, Adam, the producer's coming back into the room now, possibly with his tail between his legs. He's not coming back into the room.
He is coming back. He's looking a bit
This
salty.
is final words now. So no, Russell Howard.
No.
Well, maybe what we'll do is we'll talk to him on the phone, and we'll get him to leave a message saying how his gig was, and we'll put that on the website. Can we do that? Yeah, I'm getting a sort of a squint and then a nod, which means we can, but that's going to create work for me, so I'd rather that we didn't. But I believe that's what we'll... So what we'll do, we'll get him to call back and just leave a message. It won't be him talking, but you can use it, take it round with you, pretend Russell's there, and he'll give you a summary of his gig.
Almost like a podcast.
Almost like a podcast, yeah. What should we call him? Popcast. So that's it for this. It's been great. Thank you for all your texts and emails. It's really great when you text in because they're always funny.
It's really,
it means we have to do
I
this.
always feel a bit sad because we can't name every single person who sent the text in because there are so many, and it would be a bit... It's a shame, isn't it? Do you feel a bit bad?
I feel slightly bad, but to be honest, I get over it, because when I get home today, I'm going to have a drink. What are you up to this week, then? I shall be getting drunk tomorrow, and then I sort of get drunk as a treat for being off, but then I'm off on Tuesday and Wednesday as well, so I think that'll be an anticlimax.
I've got a very quiet week. I'm going to decorate my flat, and I'm doing a gig in Bath on Tuesday nights.
Bath on Tuesday night, I'll be in Hornchurch on Thursday night, living the absolute dream. God, that sounded like two people doing that noise then.
Oh, and Champions League football this week as well, isn't it?
Oh, well, that's me Tuesday and Wednesday, then Champions League with John in Swindon. It's goodbye to me, and Rossbot 3000, you got anything to say?
Goodbye, Mark.
Oh, that's lovely.
Oh,
isn't it?
bye, Ross.
We'll join you again next week. Check the website this week. All the new features will go on there. We'll play you out with a bit of The Cure, which should be a cracking way to end. Coming up the music week. See you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.
BBC 6 Music.